Episode 7 is here. The Juke. We're back. It's Mitch, joined by none other than Dr. Jen Welter. It is almost draft time. We are about a week away from the draft, and I am absolutely excited. But Jen, do you know who's not so excited right now? Trevor Lawrence to win Super Bowls.
Okay, so when your daddy says you're not that competitive and that your girlfriend's more competitive than you, which, you know, if you were dating me, you might have that problem. But I mean, I don't know what his girlfriend's like, right? But I don't really want to hear that before draft. Yes, and now it's his wife, but this came out before they were married. I know, but like, I don't care who it is. You're dating, you're married, whatever. Like, you're my quarterback. I want you to win some rings. You gave me a ring. Now you better go win some rings, baby. Get out on that field. And it came from his dad.
Here's my problem is I feel bad for Jacksonville fans because when you're the franchise quarterback, like, I'm not saying this means that Trevor Lawrence is going to be a bust. He's going to suck. That's not what I'm saying. But if you're Jacksonville, this franchise has never had a legitimate starting franchise quarterback who has ever been that guy that's first in, last out, that's been that guy that's renowned for his work ethic, the guy that is there, that's going to win championships, that's going to win every year, no matter what. Now, Trevor Lawrence may be able to do that, right? But it doesn't appear that this is going to be a first overall pick. You want that to be a fundamental aspect of that player, do you not?
Yeah, you want it to be that guy. It's got to be that guy, right? Everybody right now with the quarterback position particularly, right? Because there are so many. This is a quarterback-heavy draft, and everybody is looking for who is the next that guy. Right? Who is the next it factor? We don't want to be the team that ended up with Trubinsky over Mahomes. Right? That's what we don't want to do. Right? We want to find the guy who is that guy. Right? Who's going to be your next Tom Brady? Who's going to be your next Aaron Rodgers? Who's going to be your next Russell Wilson? Right? Who is that guy? And everybody believes that that guy is in this draft maybe more than once. But I don't want to hear, well, you know, man, it's cool. Because let me tell you what I hear. If I am an old lineman who is stepping in front of literal moving trucks, and my quarterback says, it's not that important, then I might think, well, you know what? It's not that important. Olay, go right on by. You know, like, you got this D-line. Like, why don't we show him what important feels like? Because all the guys on that team do not get paid as much as the quarterback, and yet their grind is just as high, and their sacrifices might even be higher for less money. And I don't want the guy who's going to come in and supposed to be the guy being, maybe I'm the guy. I'm not doing it. And by the way, Daddy Lawrence, I have something for you too.
And if you don't exactly know exactly what Jen's talking about, just to give you the quote here, Trevor has always been like this. Everybody in the family says that off the football field, Marissa, who played soccer at Division II, Anderson University, is more competitive than he is. His father says he's not award driven. He's not. I want to win a Super Bowl at all costs. So, again, does this dismiss the ability for Trevor Lawrence to be a fantastic quarterback? No, absolutely not. But I think it's very interesting, Jen, that you brought up Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, I believe you brought up. Interesting that all of those players had a chip on their shoulders and do to this day. Part of that is because they were not picked first. Part of that was because they were passed up on, right? Tom Brady was 199th overall. We hear it every year, okay? And then we have Russell Wilson, who I believe was a third-round pick. We have Aaron Rodgers, who was sitting in the green room the whole time, you know, an embarrassment to him, right? That's what he said. So all of these great quarterbacks, it almost feels like a trend. Joe Montana going back, way back, right? All of these guys have been rather late picks. They've had some sort of chip on their shoulders, or they've been passed up to some degree. And that fuels them, that drives them. And I think that could speak to anything, really. Athletes, artists, anything. When you're the greatest or you're one of the best, I do think you need a chip on your shoulder. That's why this irks me. I don't think he can be the best without the chip, Jen.
Look, I think you can be the best without the chip, right? There are some people who are, Tom Brady doesn't need to have a chip anymore, right? He's a freaking winner.
Anymore is the key word.
Right. But you know what? Trevor Lawrence, did you win the national championship this year? Oh, wait, you didn't. And I would definitely have a chip on my shoulder after how you lost in that game. I don't care if you lost, but I do care that you didn't really seem that bothered by it, right? Like, if I'm going to not make it to the national championship when we were, favorited, I'm upset by that. And when you hear, oh, he's just not that guy and he's never been that guy, then it throws up red flags for me on every time that he wasn't that guy, right? I get that highlight or low light, I should say, reel in my head of him in that game, and they're getting destroyed. And he wasn't destroyed. Like, he wasn't emotional. He also wasn't like, we got to do this. Like, it was just kind of like, and I don't know how that works with Urban Meyer, who is rumored to be one of the most competitive humans on the face of the planet. And the other thing that's a little bit bizarre about this is that it's never really been a conversation whether or not he would be number one. Now, some people have said they wouldn't be his pick, blah, blah, blah. But, it's always been, I'm giving you props on that, bitch, right?
No, I don't know if that's right, though, but I'm just saying that's one of.
But the truth is that it really hasn't been a conversation. Everybody's talking about 2 through 5, right? And so has he just, been able to get by on what it is? And will he have the upside? Because everybody knows where the guys are right now, but the magic in the draft and what you're trying to get to is who has the upside, who is going to trend upwards, who is going to develop into greatness, as opposed to saying where they are right now. And if you're just not that competitive, are you going to put in the same work as the guy who's like, you know what, go ahead and hate me, right? Go ahead and not believe, because I don't have anything to lose and I have everything to gain. And that's what I'm seeing right now. And if I'm some of the other quarterbacks, even more importantly, I'm going, you know what? I'm going to show you what work looks like. I'm going to show you I have a chip on my shoulder. Put your hair in a ponytail and let's get to work.
There's so many ways to break this down. I know it's just a comment, but there's so many things to say about it. I think the first way I'm going to go here is Trevor Lawrence, I feel, is somebody we know for sure in college never lost a lot. I'm sure in high school, he never lost a lot. I'm sure when he was playing, little football, peewee, whatever, he wasn't losing very much because he's always been the best athlete on the field. And it hasn't really mattered, that work ethic. But like we all know, at the NFL level, all these athletes are great, especially at quarterback when there's 32 that are going to start. And it really, the difference is, to me, is with the Tom Brady or the Drew Breeses or these guys, is that extra little bit. And that is why I've been pounding the table for Mac Jones. This is my guy. I know everyone doesn't like him. I think Justin Fields should go ahead of him. Trey Lance should go ahead of him. Everybody should go ahead of him. But the thing I see with Mac Jones, beyond his level of play, is that tenacity to get better. And I think that is going to serve him well at the NFL level.
One of the things that's interesting to me, and I always looked at, like, people would look at combine numbers. I'm not as concerned with the absolute number. What I am concerned about is the differences in numbers between one time when they measured and the next. Have they been working, right? What's the upside? What's the grind factor? And you can see a lot of that in where, the extra things that people do. And that's where the competitive nature comes in is like, are you going to get up earlier? Are you going to go harder? Are you going to put in extra tape? Or are you going to just, maybe do some stuff, right? Like, and the great ones realize that, especially in the quarterback room, the extra time on tape and the football IQ are what, provide you longevity, provide you wins, help you get out of sacks, all of those things. And, I now just kind of go like, right? Like it makes me think that. Now, one of the things that I will chime in on, Mitch, just as a little bit of a spoiler alert with the, the number ones never do well. Mm-hmm. Generally, it's because of the team they're going to too.
That's true. Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm not saying that it's always because
Peyton Manning did pretty well for himself.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, it is that competitive nature. It is the chip on the shoulder. And some of them, it is like a disconnect between, that mentality. But it is also the number one draft because it was the worst team in the league the last year. Mm-hmm. And so we can't just look at it at the quarterback without context. But we can in terms of what is the quarterback going to contribute, right?
Yeah, I think it's a matter of, like you said, it's situation and then what you make of that situation, right? It's a combination of both. And just to end this segment here, I feel like when we look at it going forward, judging Jacksonville, we've heard so much about how Tom Brady has taken the culture to Tampa Bay and how he made everybody better. Yep. Will Trevor Lawrence do that as the number one pick? That's part of the responsibility, as big as that is. There is a quarterback who was a first overall pick who just recently retired. His name is Alex Smith. Alex Smith had a just incredible comeback to pro football. And Jen, as a former player and a coach, what are your thoughts on Alex Smith and his passion for the game?
Alex Smith, I think, championed the human spirit for all of us, for the sacrifice, the overcoming the fear, the literally almost losing his leg, and then to be able to come back and play. And I think it's really a well-placed segue, right, to have, or back to back, to put that right behind somebody who just said, meh. I mean, I'm competitive, but maybe, right? Like, could you ever picture those words having come out of Alex Smith's mouth? No, especially not with all he went through to just get back on the field and play. And it's that inspires other people to go harder, go further, do it. You couldn't have been on the team with Alex Smith and thought, I'm just going to kind of maybe today, right? Seeing what he was going through to get back to the field. And I mean, we saw an inspired Washington Redskins team, right? We really did see them outperform on levels. And when you have a guy like Alex Smith on the team, he's having that impact on other people around him, right? Just like Tom Brady. And I don't know that you get that with Trevor Lawrence. And did I hear a rumor that Urban Meyer had actually been possibly interested in Alex Smith before he retired?
Yes, I believe it was Jacksonville who reached out to him. I believe it was.
Because hold up, wait a minute. That might be the missing link right there. Were you saying that we need somebody who would literally almost die for the game of football to mentor this man about what it takes to be a pro's pro, right? Like, to have that passion and leadership and drive that could uplift people. And maybe that was Urban Meyer's way of thinking, like, we have to build that into this kid for him to actually reach his full potential, which I think a lot of people think he has. But, was Urban Meyer looking for Alex Smith to build that into Trevor Lawrence? And that, that I could see.
Yeah, that's a really interesting take, because they kind of came out at the same time, both of
Right.
those things. And it's like, that makes sense. And I don't think it's ever a bad idea to have that presence in the locker room. Alex Smith was the guy who started ahead of Patrick Mahomes, remember?
Right.
Right. So maybe, and I know for a fact because Mahomes has spoken about it, he said that Alex Smith has helped him and develop into that pro that is a franchise quarterback. So Jacksonville doesn't really have that. I guess you could look at maybe Gardner Minshew potentially.
Really?
He hasn't been
But,
around as long as
but
Alex Smith,
really?
but
What am I going to get from Minshew?
I don't know. I don't know him,
Look,
but he does seem like a guy
come on,
pretty
Mitch.
smart.
Yeah,
Not a great talent, but
come on. He's not gonna impress upon or mold a young quarterback. He hasn't done enough. He's not as I mean, I couldn't tell you what a conversation would be like because I don't know anything about him. I couldn't tell you, he's not a proven entity to me, right? And
okay.
and mentorship is part of that. Like, I admire you for what you've done and how you've done it, right? And he's not somebody I'd tap and be like, you got to get Minshew.
I was just throwing it out there. That's the only guy they really have. That's what I'm saying.
But could you see maybe Alex Smith coaching?
I think so. I think that's actually where he may go but I
Right?
think it's going to be with Andy Reid. I don't think it's going to be anywhere else.
Well, but it would be really interesting to see that trajectory. But I can't help but feel that was part of what they were looking for in Jacksonville. And it really is valuable, especially for quarterbacks to really learn how to be a pro's pro. Just look at what Jameis Winston has said about Drew Brees. And, that's something he's always wanted, right? Like, I know that from JMO. And talking to him earlier in the season, he was like, it's been great to learn from Brees every day, right? And for those young quarterbacks, especially the ones that now are not getting, they're expected to be great now. You need somebody who's great at being great to help take some of those, give you some secret sauce. And I have to say that I think that's probably what it was.
Even if it's from afar too, it doesn't have to be up close and personal, showing you what to do, but just seeing it in the building is something that you can experience and learn from.
Oh yeah. And even like you can pick up big things on like just watching tape with someone, right? Mm-hmm. Or like sharing secrets or how you watch something or something that's worked for you. That was something I did like throughout my career. People who were great, I'd be like, teach me something, right? Like what's a secret hack, or like what's something you would look for, or just and being fascinated by the way that other people see the game. Now, do all of them end up being better than what I was doing before, or things that you fully adopt? No, but there's so much that you can learn by being around people who have been to the highest of the high, especially in what you want to do directly.
So with the draft not that far away, I want to wrap up here with giving potentially a favorite prospect to watch, or just your favorite prospect in the draft. And Jen, you do know that I have a new man crush on one Kadarius Toney, who is the human joystick. By far the most fun tape I watched.
I had not seen the human joystick until today. And I will say, Mitch, that you brought joy into my existence as I watched him stick those cutbacks. Like he was breaking ankles, breaking hearts, and tearing ACLs. Like,
he did, yep.
You watched the guy go and try and tackle him and like stick his foot in the ground, and with no contact, he just broke off. Like that is a bad man. And I think the receiver class is going to be particularly interesting. In this one, I don't know if it helps them or hurts them that there are so many talented receivers, and that other than quarterbacks and receivers, like there's onesie twosies on people that you like, but not a ton, not depth. So it'll be interesting to see how the receivers run in this draft. I would have liked to see what's our guy Parsons try and tackle your joystick.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Maybe we'll see it at the NFL level.
I'm sure we will, but I'm gonna hashtag like I want to see that matchup right now.
Yeah, I think as for the wide receiver position, it's interesting because the last couple of years it's been pretty loaded, and sometimes you see it's a matter of preference, a lot like quarterback. Like certain guys that you didn't expect to go 15th overall go 15th overall because this team likes this. Maybe they like the speed, or this team likes the route runner, or this team likes the guy that breaks ankles. Like there's so many different niches with the wide receiver position with Tony and so all these other guys that it's going to make it interesting and all about the fit, of course.
I'm really interested to see what's going to happen, obviously with the wide receivers, but also on that tight end dynamic because they're not deep there. And on defense, there's not a lot of
ballers.
Yeah, like there's a couple of guys that really flash, and we've talked about them already. But it's a really kind of strange draft for me. Especially being a defensive side. Like I think,
right.
It's going to be interesting, and it's going to be really, really important to get that scheme fit, right? Like you got to find not just a guy, but the right guy for what you're doing. And that's going to be interesting. So many of the teams are going to be so different this year.
Especially because of the limited tape as well. And we'll just have to find out for ourselves. So that's another episode of the Juke